There are some companies that are founded on the very cutting edge of what they do because of their time and history, and some that are usually iterating on existing competition. We were in this case in the former bucket. Being founded as a virtual care company in 2010 was a very different time than if you were to found a virtual care company in 2021. And so at that time, there were zero precedent. In fact, even the idea of connecting doctors and patients on the internet was met with resistance. Doctors were afraid of being sued for anything that resembled telemedicine. Okay, that just gives you a contrast of how far we've come versus where we began this company. And therefore, you can see that things that you take for granted today. If you were starting a telehealth company, not a single person would doubt the merits of telehealth. Not a single person would doubt whether doctors would do it. Not a single person would be confused about how doctors are reimbursed. Like all of these most fundamental questions were questions we had to figure out answers for. They didn't exist. We had to innovate on, like, no one starts a technology company like ours and says, one of the first things I need to figure out in the first year of founding is malpractice insurance on the internet for doctors and what they publish on a website. Absurd idea. But, my point is, when you're early, there's a lot of stuff to figure out. There's a path you need to kind of blaze for others that will follow. And that's just the trade-off of being early is you got to figure more stuff out. And for us, one of those things was business model. One of those things was path to market. We had this basic idea that going directly to consumers and making sure we have direct relationship and we bring our doctors along with us was going to be the way that we were going to implement actually grassroots change in the industry. We began with that idea. It's just that we didn't know how the industry was going to shape up. We didn't know what business models were going to prove to be successful. So we got lured by the same enticements that all the other entrepreneurs got lured by, which is B2B business. You do a deal with a couple of gigantic institutions with millions of lives, and lo and behold, everything's going to be better for you. We learned the hard way that that's not always the case either. You can sign a contract and have access to literally tens of millions of eligible lives like we did, but that doesn't mean you built a great business or products that's changing healthcare. And it took us 4 or 5 years to learn that while this is interesting, we're making a lot of money, we're not fulfilling our original mission and vision of changing the way healthcare is done. We had at that time become a glorified, a dev shop with a platform that we were customizing for folks that had little incentive to change the way things worked.